If you want an example of one of the wimpiest characters in video games, it would be Lester from Lester the Unlikely, one of the most notoriously bad Super Nintendo games. The game itself is an incredibly tedious slog that makes you question yourself whether or not you suck at video games. Now honestly, it was around stage 2 of the game where I kept dying a lot. That was the moment where I pretty much would have given up on this game. But I persevered just to see what else this game has to offer. The premise of the game is you're a comic book geek named Lester who goes to sleep on a derrick, becoming a reluctant stowaway on a ship. Once the ship is attacked by pirates, Lester swims to a nearby island and then the game begins. Now, I will start with the praise, as there is going to be a lot of tearing into later. I will say as far as Super Nintendo graphics go, they're pretty decent. It's very colorful and pretty to look at, and there is some very good rotoscope animation with Lester that looks very natural and very smooth. Now the problem with the game is basically everything else with it. For a start, the character, as I've mentioned, is a complete wimp. In this game, you can't jump from a great height without getting hurt. You have to take the slow and diligent way of climbing down things, even though it isn't even that big of a jump. This can also work against you if you accidentally have enemies chasing you and you don't have time to climb down. There are moments when Lester will run away from an enemy or hesitant to drop off a ledge, which really showcases his cowardice. They don't last too long, but it does make you laugh at how pathetic he is. I mean, he runs away from a slow-moving turtle, for crying out loud. The other big problem with the game is jumping. Now, just pressing the jump button will make Lester do a small lunge forward, and you wouldn't be using it a whole lot, but it's jumping while sprinting is where the game really screws up on, and that's what you'll be doing more often. Now, when holding down the sprint button, you're unable to jump until you let go if you're going the left direction. Not the right, specifically the left direction. Even when you do learn, it's still very awkward to let go of the button just at the edge to jump. It doesn't happen if you're going in the general direction, but even then, it is really inconsistent and really dumb. Imagine if something like that happened in a Mario game. As for your attacks, you can use your petty little kick to knock out certain enemies, or using different weapons in the game. The first weapon you get is a rock, and this is mostly used to clear out bats out of the way, which can also bizarrely not work at times. Eventually you'll get a boomerang and a sword in later stages, but I haven't even gotten that far because I kept dying so much and having to start the whole game over again that I find it hard to muster up the will to get that far in the game. But I think the main problem in this game is the obscure nature of getting through certain obstacles. This game has quite a few trial and error moments where you're supposed to do something that you wouldn't really think to do. For example, there are some tikis you need to get past. Now you can pass the yellow tikis as they'll just stare at you, but the purple ones will shoot darts at the end as you try to walk past it. It turns out to get past the purple statues, you need to kick the statues. Okay, how would you know to kick the statues? Since they're in the background, it doesn't make sense from a perspective point of view. The other example is that before you reach the end of a level, you have to throw in 2 skulls of a ghost's rival into the fire. But how are you supposed to know which one is which, since you can't tell by their shapes? If you put in the wrong skulls, you get killed by the ghost, wasting a life. To add insult to injury, there's no continues. Once you used up all your lives, it's game over. And there is no password to continue where you left off. This is unacceptable if you're wasting your lives through this trial and error process. This is a game that makes you feel as worthless as this character. I would only recommend it for those who love punishment, or for a few laughs. I give this game a D-. So that was my review for Lester the Unlikely, and I think for my next review, I'm gonna go for a good game this time. I think I deserve it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.